Hello everyone, my name is Shilpa. I am from 5th SEM BCA. Today we are going to discuss about communication and its natures, characteristics, types and barriers. So first let us see what is communication. Communication is a two-way process which involves transferring of information or message from one person or group to other. So when there is a communication there should be two persons so that then only one can send the message and another can receive the message, so it is a two-way process. So next one, nature of communication. Let us see features. So first one is continuous process of communication. So what is this? The exchange of ideas and opinions is a constant cycle that promotes mutual understanding and relevant information exchange. So next one is two-way interaction. So when there is a communication, it involves receiver and sender. So it can also take place through interpersonal communication when an individual speaks with himself or herself. Next one is verbal or non-verbal communication. So verbal communications refers to the use of written, records, print, published, or spoken words to convey messages. Whereas non-verbal communication refers to the use of gestures, movements, actions, signals, body language, facial expressions. So when you see like this, non-verbal communication can often be more powerful than verbal communications. Next one is two-way process and mutual understanding. So since communication is a two-way process, it plays a very important role. It is effective when both parties develop a mutual understanding of a subject being discussed. This involves the receiver comprehensive the message being conveyed by the sender in the desired sense. And the last one is goal oriented communication. So it is a more efficient when the sender and receiver are aware of the objectives. So during the communications we will be having the objectives which has to be followed. So we should be aware of the objectives they wish to achieve through communications. Communication can be a mean to achieving the desired end goals. Next one is characteristic of communications. There are 6 characteristics of communications. First one is two or more persons. So it is one of the most important thing in communications when there should be a minimum number of two persons, because a single person cannot exchange ideas with himself or herself. So a listener is necessary to receive one's ideas. Therefore, there must be at least one person, two persons, the sender of information and the receiver. So next one is exchange of ideas. Communication cannot be thought of in the absence of exchange of ideas. In order to complete the process of communication, there must be an exchange of ideas, orders, feeling, etc. among two or more persons. So in the exchange of ideas, you can see when two or three persons interact, two or more persons interact together, there must be exchange of ideas, feelings, orders, etc. So that the communications passes through all the persons. Next one is mutual understanding. It means that the receiver should receive the information in the same spirit with which it is being given. In the process of communication, it is more important to understand the information rather than to carry it out. So next one is direct and indirect communication. It is not necessary in communication that the receiver and giver of information should be face to face. with each other. So communication can be both direct and indirect. So direct in the sense face to face conversions, whereas indirect communication means through other means. Next one is continuous process. So communication is an endless process. So for example, if you take in the case of businessman, the manager continuously assigns work to his subordinates, tries to know the progress of work being given, gives directions. So next one is use of words as well as symbols. So there can be many means of communications like written, oral, symbolic, where some of them will understand when it is written than when they're listening. So some of them are good at listening rather than writing. So some of them are symbolic, they understand the symbols or actions what have been done and they react to that. Okay, for example, if you take the example of symbolic communications, as the ringing of the bell are for closing a school or a college, say something by the movement of the neck. So this is all about the characteristics of communications. Let us see the types of communications. So there are four types of communication: non-verbal communication, verbal communication, written communication, visual communication. So first one is non-verbal communications. So non-verbal communication is interesting to note that non-verbal communication is used both intentionally and unintentionally. Okay, so there are four four types that it should be followed under non-verbal communication. That is facial expression, posture, gesture and physical touch, eye contact. So facial expression, we often use facial expression as a way to communicate that we are listening and engaging with the person we are speaking. Posture, how you position yourself during the conversation is important. When you are listening, it your posture will specify whether you are interested to listen or whether your gesture next one is gesture and physical touch. So depending on the person and their country of origin, they may use gestures and physical touch a lot or othermost ever. There is a lot of information conveyed in this action. A gentle touch on the arm can signal encouragement, while an overly strong handshake can act of domains. So here the physical touch will also specify, for each physical touch it specifies an action. Next one is eye contact. Eye contact is one of the important in the non-verbal communications. When someone or a person is unable to maintain the eye contact, we take this to mean that they are being untruthful, shifty and not paying attentions. So the eye contact will tell a person how the person is, whether it is telling truth, lie, or when everything is going on, or when a teacher is taking a class, in the eye contact itself we can make clear that whether a person is attentive in the class or not. Second one is verbal communication. So we are communicating much more than just the contact of our words. We are also using pitch and tones, as we also the level of formalities we use to convey important subtext to the persons we are speaking with. So there are three types under verbal communication: pitch, tone and context. So when speaking, our emotions can often come into play. So, if we are angry, upset, or frustrated, our pitch might rise, conveying to the listener that we are experiencing a strong emotions. So, pitch in a sense, our emotions are being changed to the situations, what to the life. Next one is tone. We are encouraged situations that are frustrated and upsetting, allowing that to change our tone from calm and professional, short and rude is always a mistake. Tone conveys a lot of information to the listener about how the speaker view them. So tone in a sense, even our voice, how we speak to a person, even a tone is been considered. So when you speak in the rugged voice, it means you are rude to someone. When you speak in a calm and soft voice, then the person with before you is ready to listen to you. So next one is context. Of course, context is the most important part of verbal communications. What that we say and the words we choose to use are cruel. While most office communications tend to be more formal than, for example, meeting a friend for coffee, we should make sure that we leave space for personal chats and relation buildings. So, next one is written communications. So, under written communications, there are three types: structure, clarity, and context. Structure. When writing, it is important to think about how you are presenting the information. Using paragraphs and line breaks are necessary. So, while writing, the presentation on the spacing, gaps, line break, commas, full stop, punctuations, everything is important in written communication, that is under structure. Next one is clarity. It is a art balance to strive between over and under explaining concepts. So of course this depends on the person, but over explaining a little bit is much better than leaving the readers clueless. Context we already discussed. So let us go to next type of communication, that is visual communication. Under visual communication there are two types: context and tone. So context, while it is tempting to include visual to add a bit of diversity and interest. So not all communications need to have visual added in some cases. So next one is tone. As we said, make sure that you are meeting your audience where they are. If you are presenting complex data, include the relevant description at the right technical level so that your audience can follow. And this is all about types of communications. Next one is barriers of effective communications. There are many types of barriers of effective communications. So let us see one, just points. So first one is psychological barrier, second one is emotional barrier, third one is linguistic barriers, next one is physical barrier to communication, cultural barrier of communication, organizational structure barrier, attitude barrier. So this are the just points for the barrier communication, effective communication. Thank you.